I am Lauren Huffmeister. I am the founder of Adventure Therapy Foundation, and this week I wanted to bring some stories to you about what Adventure Therapy is doing and how we're impacting the cancer community, both here in Northern California as well as across the country. And today I've brought one of the families that has received a retreat, and this is Becky, and she's here to talk about her story and what Adventure Therapy had, what kind of impact she's seen it have in the area. So Becky, how did you hear about Adventure Therapy?
I actually heard about it from a friend who had cancer. So she told me about it, and we were kind of walking through it together, her and I, and having a hard time. So she told me about Adventure Therapy and that she had been sent on a trip and how amazing it was, and she thought that it would be a really good thing for me to experience. So from there, she put me in contact with Adventure Therapy, and I met you. And at the time, I was just feeling really alone. I was having a hard time kind of post-treatment. I had finished all my treatment, but just getting back into normal life and, just normal relationship with my husband too. So when I met you, Lauren, you explained everything to me, and were also just a big support for me because you understand, you've been through it, going through it, so just getting, just talking to me and making me feel more comfortable and getting rid of the fear that's associated with cancer, and just after treatment, like, how do you know it's really gone, and just all the anxiety that it creates. So when you put together the trip for us, it was amazing because I had never even I just met you, and I didn't tell you that I love lighthouses. So, we got to go on our trip to the lighthouse in Marin. It was the most amazing thing, and it was perfect timing. And I didn't realize how much my husband and I really needed that time to just do something fun together and be alone and talk and just enjoy each other. So it was very special, and it was just the right time too for us.
And since that time, did it change sort of your outlook, or did it change anything in the way you moved forward since then?
Yeah, I think it definitely has changed my outlook, and just knowing that I'm not alone and having the support from you as well. It's not just about the trip, it's about staying in touch, and your Facebook and just your encouragement has been a lot of support to me, which I think I needed that also. But the trip was the real kickoff to all of it. It was amazing.
And isolation is a huge part of the cancer experience, especially like you said in the post-treatment stage. And you have done a lot of reaching out to other families to make sure that they're not alone in the process. And you've actually seen a lot of families go out under our umbrella. Can you just speak to the community that's growing here around Adventure Therapy and just in the cancer community?
Yeah. Well, when I went through, from the time I got diagnosed with breast cancer and then just going through all the treatment, I was alone because I didn't realize that there were other places that, you could reach out to for support, or that there's other women that are going through the same thing and they want to talk to you and support you and love on you. Like, I really was very isolated. So, my experience after that is like, I don't want anyone to go through that because it was really hard, and it just opened my eyes to see that, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you can take all the positive things out of this journey because there are a lot of changes, and for me, it was a big awareness and a lot of changes, but to realize that you're not alone and that it's normal what you're going through was really helpful. So I wanted to share it because it was such an amazing experience. So that's how I kind of got involved with other people, and just sharing, how special this can be.
The isolation piece is such a huge motivating factor for me.
Yeah.
I am determined to find a way to eliminate that piece. I honestly think that if we can take away the isolation piece in the cancer experience, it would revolutionize the whole thing.
I totally agree.
And so Adventure Therapy and I are working on creating something that would help eliminate that for not just a region, but for the whole country. So
Yeah.
hopefully that will come up soon.
And in some of the things that I had learned about at my oncology office was, some support groups, and I did go to one, but it wasn't kind of the right fit for me. And it was, depending on who's in your group and all that kind of stuff, it for me, I needed something more uplifting, and I needed some positive feedback and some happy things, So going on that trip, and then just realizing that to get rid of the fear and the isolation is the biggest part, and especially afterwards. I mean, definitely during the whole thing, because you do need help, and sometimes you will rely on your family or friends, and if they have never been through it, they might not totally understand what you need. So putting together a network of people like this that just help each other. We don't have to know each other, we just have to love on each other.
Yeah, I was talking to another survivor this last week, and we were saying that the people who are there to support you don't understand what you need, and the people who understand what you need aren't there to support you. It's hard
Right.
to find that group of people who can really go through it with you.
Yeah.
So that's hard. And then helping other people, we're really working, and you're bringing lots of people to us to support, make more of a community here,
Yeah.
both online and in person as much as possible. So the Adventure Therapy is really reaching out.
Yeah. And if I ever hear of anybody, you're the first person I call, because you're such a great resource. Like, that is incredible, and that's a big part of it, is just knowing the right place to turn, because it is a lot of information that you have. You're a wealth of information, and it was, it's been really helpful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So would you recommend, if you're going to give advice to someone who's just getting diagnosed, what advice would you give them?
Well, first, to not be fearful about it.
Which is
and
easy to say.
It's very easy to say, but you have to make a practice of really letting it go. I mean, for me, like, I'm spiritual, and I believe in God. So for me, I just put it in God's hands, and trust that I've got the right people on my team, the physicians and just the whole group of people. And if something doesn't feel right, or you need more information, to just keep reaching out. And Adventure Therapy is a great way of doing that. Like, hey, do you know any doctors, or do you know any people that I could talk to? Maybe I'm feeling alone and I just need to go have a cup of coffee with somebody. It's just that kind of support is really important, and I didn't have that through my journey until it came to the end, and then I thought, well, everything's back to normal, but it wasn't, and that's when I felt really isolated. During the time of treatment, you're so busy fighting the battle and doing the treatment that sometimes, you're exhausted and everything else, and you think, oh, I don't want to bother anybody, but you're not bothering people. I mean, you need help, and that's what an organization like this is for.
Yeah. And I do really, I hear it from everyone I speak to that year after treatment is the hardest. It is that isolation, it's that deciding who you're going to be now after cancer, it's how are you going to restart, who are you going to restart with. It is a very difficult season for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it changed me. Things that I cared about before, that I thought were so important, I don't care about anymore.
Right.
It was more bigger things in life matter to me more now. I don't care if the house is clean or not. I can let that go. Family is important. Quality time is important, and but sometimes that can be a change in what you were doing before and what you're doing now. It's just an eye-opening wake-up call, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Exactly.
You can use it in a positive way, and what I've done, and with your help too, just be aware of some of the things like your diet, exercise, different, follow-up things that you should be doing. Like, I look at it like I don't want to have the same environment in my body that created the cancer. So what do I have to change? The stress, the diet, the exercise, just kind of overall mind, body, and soul. And then I think that is a really healthy way of going forward.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story
Oh, you're welcome.
and coming out today. And again, this is Adventure Therapy Foundation. We're trying to tell some stories from the different families we've served at this time to help you better understand what we're doing as an organization. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.